Now, I've been putting off making this video for a little while because there is a lot of noise upstairs with building work, so I can't wait any longer. If you hear the noise, I apologise. But anyway, we're back for another league race, and this one is Belgium in WOR, round number 6 of the season, and also a sprint race. Now, in the background you can see the weather forecast, and for the race we have a lot of rain, so we'll see how that progresses. Either way, if you haven't seen the previous episode, go check it out, guys. The British Grand Prix at Silverstone, link in the top right. And if you're going to enjoy this one, leave a like and subscribe with the noise in the background as we get our first qualifying lap underway here in Spa. So down to turn number 1, try to pick up the apex and then try to straight line the exit. We run a bit too wide though and pick up an invalidation, so that's going to put an early end to our first run. So after that we went back to the pits, put on a fresh set of tyres and went again for a second run, and this is going to be hopefully my first proper attempt at securing a full lap, and fingers crossed we actually set a decent banker. So down to turn 1, braking at 100, down to third, a little bit wide of the apex, and this time we do keep it within track limits on the exit. Making our way then downhill up towards Pouon and Radion, absolutely flat as the car bottoms out onto the Camel Straight. Wait for the DRS, and now just be patient and prepare possibly the hardest combination of corners here, Lecom and Malmedy. Braking at the 50, down to 5th gear, over the curbs, and this is where the car can get really unsettled. Then at the exit as well, you're kind of floating on the back end, making sure you control the oversteer. Down into Rivage, turn 8, try to keep things nice and tight, and then bring the car back as you plunge down into turn 9, no name. Just about within track limits as we now go towards Pouon. One downshift, early apex, try to turn in and keep the car tight as possible to keep that rotation going and that front end grip. Into this right left chicane now, lots of inside curb through both of these to really maximise the lap time. Then hard on the brakes into Stavlo as the curb on the left begins as your reference. Use all the runoff and then now flat out for about 10 to 15 seconds as we prepare the bus stop chicane. At this point you're just minimising steering lock to scrub off the least amount of speed possible and keeping it flat. As you arrive at the bus stop, look for the 100-metre board and brake bang on the 100 down to third. We get a bit of understeer on entry and we miss the apex for the right, which compromises our line through the left. Up to the line though, now we say 42.3 and go P6 at the time, so not a bad banker. And my personal best is a 41.8 in time trial and a 42.2 in GP mode and online mode. So yeah, we're not too far off as we head on to our final runs, and you can see here we didn't get the best start to the lap, partly because the car behind was finishing a lap and I had no time left, so we had to kind of rush the start of the lap a bit. But we do actually now turn 1 and find a load of time. Flat out once again through Eau Rouge and Radion as we're up in the first sector, and this is a good start, already a 10th up. Could have been a bit more had we got the proper start to the lap out the bus stop. Again though, Lecom, brake at the 50, take both curbs. We actually missed the first one a little bit this time, but that's okay, we still are finding time as we make our way out of Malmedy down into turn 8. We've lost about, I'd say, half a tenth through Lecom and Malmedy, but this time we stayed nice and tight through there, and we find about half a tenth and a bit more through no name, which takes our advantage now well over a tenth of a second. Into Pouon, a little bit wide of the apex, and we actually run out of bounds. I have to get off the throttle to avoid the invalidating, which means we throw away about a tenth of our advantage. Through the chicane now though, the right and the left about the same as the last run. Stavlo, we keep it nice and tight this time and find about half a tenth through there, and then we're flat out again all the way up until the bus stop. So prepare the braking. You know, at this point that's all you can really do. The braking zone is going to be key. Just looking for the 100 and you're trying to see if you can obviously maybe even push it a bit more than that and also get the nose turned in. On the brakes we actually go in and we lock the rears a bit, which causes a bit of a drift, and it just unsettles the car enough that I lose all my advantage and we improve by the smallest of margins, which It's a real shame, you know, in the end. We set a 142.304, but the lap itself, there was quite a bit more time. I think there was about, I'd say about half a tenth in the first sector had we had a proper start to the lap and a nice exit at the bus stop. I'd also say there was half a tenth in Les Combes Malmedy, a full tenth through Pouon, which we dropped, and then probably another tenth or half a tenth at the bus stop. So all in all, I reckon about 2.5 to maybe 3 tenths was left on the table. I think a 42.0, probably 42.0 low, maybe even a very high 41 could have been the ideal lap, and that would have given us at least top 7 or above. But still, look how competitive the grid is. As you can see, the top 17 covered by 4.5 tenths around a 1 minute 42 lap. That is pretty damn insane. But anyway, qualifying done. We're going to start P15 and we're now going to move into the sprint, and we're going to see if that changes things for the race. So here we go. It's time for the sprint race here at Belgium, and as you can see, we have the medium tyres selected. I was debating, and there was, you know, some conversation about maybe going on softs, but you tend to run out of grip around lap 6, and the last 2 laps are really hell in terms of making the tyres work. So we're going to play it safe and go for the medium. So here we are. The lights are on for the sprint, and we're underway in Belgium. Great start as we jump Jonah Martins and Daniel Kedzen as we head into turn number 1. Keeping it on the inside and trying to stay out of trouble as we have a few cars off, and we're up to P12 already. So excellent start, 3 places up after turn 1, and once again getting a good start like we tend to do, you know, for the most part this season. The starts have been one of my stronger points. Up ahead, Marcus Towler forced off at the top of Radion, and it's all kicking off ahead as we race down into Les Combes. On the brakes, we're going to be patient and try to look for openings as we look now, as you can see, heading towards Malmedy. Thomas Harvey a bit wide, possible damage I believe, not 100% certain, but we make the move on him. And we're also going to send out the inside of Drake Dempsey, who left the door wide open, and we briefly get into P10, but then through No Name, Dempsey gets the inside runner. We just have to back out, otherwise we run out of road. And now Daniel challenging us.
On track, but officials aren't looking to push for a safety car right now. Just be careful.
We get a virtual safety car, and that just bails us out there, because I would have most likely lost the place if we go side by side into Pouon. So P11 for now, 4 up on lap 1, 4 places gained, which is excellent to be honest with you, and we're already on the cusp of the top 10. Of course, in the sprint race you score points if you finish in the top 8, so we're only 3 places away, which is very exciting. So we may have a chance here of securing some points, but so far it's been a good start to this race and things are looking good.
Okay, VSC ending. We're going green. Maintain positive delta until the green flags.
And as you can see, we're now going to get it back underway as we time the restart more or less okay. Daniel Kedzen though does a great job of sending up the inside and, you know, being opportunistic with the VSC. We have to leave space, and we're going to get into a good old-fashioned drag race here versus the McLaren. We're going to hold it on the outside as we head into the turn 1 brake zone. We go nice and deep, contact in front, and we get the exit on the curb and get the traction down, and we manage to get in front of Daniel there and hold on to P11. In front though, Marcus Towner, I believe, making a move on lefted, aka Conor Muir, and then we have Drake Dempsey behind, who's still in P10. So it's a pretty decent restart. We've done well to defend and hold on to 11th, and now we can start to hopefully make some more progress. As I will say, lefted in the Aston Martin, I know he's running a very low downforce setup, so he's going to struggle for the corners, but he's an absolute rocket ship on the straights as Drake Dempsey goes for the move, and I think he's just about going to get it done just before No Name. So there's the updates. Towler P8, Dempsey P9 and lefted P10, and we're still chilling in P11, but you can see already the grip we have and the pace we have through the corners is much higher. Lap 3 we get our first warning as we kind of follow lefted into running out of track limits at turn 9. He also gets a penalty, yellow flag behind, as it's not really going to affect our race. But yeah, we're just starting to put some pressure on here, and hopefully I can try and maybe force him into a mistake, because the reality is I just don't have the straight line speed to get anywhere near, and now DRS is enabled, we're just in a DRS train, which is really frustrating. Lap 4 we get super close through turn 8, as you can see here, putting big pressure on once again through No Name. We, for the second lap in a row, get a warning, and now all of a sudden we're on 2 warnings in a sprint race, which isn't ideal. So we're going to try and keep it clean for the rest of this race if possible. On to lap 5, a lap after, same kind of sequence of corners here, and just trying to see if I can find the place to get by. You can see through there, Marcus Towler picks up a penalty. He's now been overtaken by Drake Dempsey. We fast forward things a bit, and now through Pouon behind us, Jonah Martins, who's on a recovery drive, also gets a penalty. So 3-second pens are starting to stack up, and at the moment we're looking at P9. Obviously Dempsey in front of Marcus Towler is my target because he's the one who's in the point scoring top 8 position. So we're going to try and hopefully still get a chance to get by as we go on to lap 6. This time Marcus Towler's had a very poor turn 1 and left it is right at the back, and I can smell there's going to be some action. So I'm using my battery through Eau Rouge and Radeon, and shades of 2000, we go 3 wide as we race into Les Combes. I tried to get lefted, but I just don't have the straight line speed to make the move, and the inside curb into Les Combes is really dangerous. And now at the exit we lose the back end, and unfortunately as Tyler Marquis goes for a spin, we drop to P17, and that's our sprint race over. I was struggling so much, this entire race with car balance. The pace was good, but the balance is all over the place, and that worries me for the race as well. We finish in P17, we don't get close enough to capitalise on any penalties, but when I talk about balance, I mean the car was on the knife edge a lot. So for example, through Les Combes, the 2 curbs, the right and the left, are really dangerous, and then even if you get through that, the next corner, the right hand of Malmedy, turn 7, the back end's really floaty, and it's really hard to get the power down. And obviously I just made that move and I was getting a bit too excited trying to get past, also lefted, and doing so has cost me in the end. So there's the final results. You can see Drake Dempsey finished P7 in the end, so that was possible. Daniel Kedzen in P8 as well, that was also possible. So bit of a shame really, we could have actually got a couple of points and started in the top 8 for the race. Instead we're starting from P17 and way down the order. So yeah, not ideal, not the race I hoped for, but anyway, that is it for the sprint. We're now going to move into the main event, and of course we have rain forecast, so let's see how that affects things. Here we are then for the main event and the race. You can see we have rain to start, and then rain to finish, and then a dry patch in between. So very unpredictable conditions, hard to really judge. According to the game, we're starting on inters. We have 2 intermediate icons or light rain icons. I'm going through and making my setup adjustments. I'm not going to go too much towards the wet setup because I feel like I want to try something different and have decent pace, maybe with a different kind of setup to everybody else. I'm expecting most cars to run a wet setup, which should mean some lower straight line speed, so I'm kind of hoping this might work in my favour. In hindsight, it turns out I was actually running really high wings anyway, but here we go. It's time for the race. Lights are on, and for the second time this weekend we are underway, and for the second time it looks like a decent start. Not as good as the previous one, but still good enough. Down to turn 1, I tried to have a look up the inside, but Simon Lukomski got to the apex before me, and then around the outside is Harlan Marquis looking for the move, and he is going to get it done, to be fair, so credit to him. Nice clean move there. I'm actually choosing to back off here because I feel like it could kick off, and you can see lots of cars off, a bit of oversteer for a few of these guys as well, as everyone just struggling for grip early on. We've got Thomas Harvey behind putting pressure on, but isn't quite going to commit to a move as we make our way into Les Combes for the first time. I tried to go around the outside of Harlan Marquis there, but it doesn't quite work out, and that puts me under pressure from Harvey. Luckily we managed to keep him behind. Now though, into No Name and turn 8, we're going to avoid the Alpine, who almost got spun round, but by avoiding a possible crash we dropped to last place. However, now the exit of No Name, it all kicks off. The Alpine involved again, and also JST, and somehow after all that carnage we are back where we started in P17 with a safety car deployed. I also took this chance to go ahead and turn off the particles, which is the raindrops on my screen, to not have that, to basically not have a visual disadvantage by having visible raindrops on my screen. So yeah, safety car deployed. We're now all running under Delta, and this could be interesting now from the perspective of the weather forecast. which is of course the rule unknown in this race. It still seems quite wet at this point.
We anticipate an end to this rain in around 5 minutes. Okay, not sure whether dries or inters are faster. We're right on the crossover.
So that's the weather update. 5 to 10 minutes. That's a bit of a lottery. I actually decided to stay out. I've got, you know, a rule of thumb, which is, you know, be on the right tyre at the right time. And right now, the intermediate is what you want to be on. So we move up to P12. Surprisingly, a lot more cars than I thought pit for the dry tyre. And on lap 3, you can see the track is starting to dry a little bit, which isn't ideal. Anyway.
Okay, the rain should be ending shortly.
That wasn't the update that I hoped to hear, and the track is drying quickly.
Dries definitely seem like the fastest tyre at the moment. Check your MFD for a new strategy option.
And that was it. When you get that message on the radio, it's dry tyre time.
Okay, it could be a risk with the circuit this greasy, but we think the slick might now be the quicker tyre. If you think you can keep it on the road, let's consider swapping over. Okay, radar is clear, weather is looking good for now. Okay, dries seem like the best tyre for now. Okay, the incident's been cleared, let's get back up to racing speed, come on.
Now, as you can see, everybody is in the pit lane. We had to stay out because my teammate was pitting, so, you know, stacking would basically cost us, I think, more time. Now, on this game, driving on the inters on a dry track, or even a dry track completely, isn't impossible, and it isn't that bad. And actually, our pace was fine. You know, Jonas Martins is flying on the soft type. If you look at, you know, Xander on the medium.
No threat of rain for the time being, conditions look good. Dries definitely seem like the fastest tyre at the moment.
We was actually not too bad. We was kind of holding our own. Eventually now through Puon, the inters were starting to struggle, and the guys on medium started to get by. But for the most part, I don't think, you know, staying out was the worst decision this lap. Obviously now we're going to pit for dries, but I think overall it was the better call. I think we would have lost more time stacking. So yeah, with that screen freeze, you can see now we're all going to pit. Those of us that haven't stopped yet, we're now going to finally get the dry tyres on and get our race underway. The only bad thing is that we're going to drop to the back, and for good measure as well, I actually missed my turn-in timing because it was much earlier than I expected with the Mercedes garage. I keep forgetting, you know, I play my team a lot, and that is at the end of the pit lane, so I've got time to kind of, you know, get used to it. But I was thinking about other things at the time, and I wasn't focused, and I just, you know, missed it. So a 3.1 stop, we lose about 9/10 as
You
a.
only have to stop once now, one stop left.
As a standard stop is usually about 2.2, so yeah, lost 9/10 there. As we rejoin behind Jed Norgrove, and you just heard there 15 minutes. That is a weather update, rain in 15 minutes by the looks of it. So that secondary shower, which was forecast, is seemingly arriving as Lefted comes into the pit lane to retire with a 3-second time penalty. And yeah, we're now P19 and last on the track, and at this point we're going to try and fight back. The rain later on could provide an opportunity to try and make, you know, something happen. Maybe we stay out on dries, or maybe not everyone goes to the inters and we do, and it works out in our favour, who knows. But we just got to try and get to that wet phase and hope to fight back. Lap number 8 now though, and we've got Jed Norgrove, Daniel Kjedsen and also Mark Schluter all battling away here as the pair of them get a couple of penalties for running past the bus stop, and Jed Norgrove goes past, and also we are going to get in on the action as well as we go 3 wide down to turn 1, and we're going to make the move here. Bit of contact, but we get through cleanly, and that was a very opportunistic overtake, and we're going to get in 2 places in 1 corner, and we're going to slot in behind Norgrove and still have DRS, so we should be able to stay in front if we have decent straight line speed, which we're about to find out as we open the DRS. You can see here Daniel putting pressure on to get by in the McLaren. I've still got, you know, a decent slipstream, and we do manage to stay in front. So there we go, P17 now, and hopefully we can now get to work and try to get past Jed in the Red Bull and move into P16 and just keep making progress basically until we get to the wet phase. Jonas Martins, 4 seconds up the road, he's pit for his second dry tyre, of course after being on the soft on the race restart. Up ahead though, I believe, yellow flag, and we've got a car off, and it's Simon Lukomski in the barrier, so that's going to give us another position. So if we get past Norgrove, That's going to be P15 for us now. And suddenly we're making a bit of progress. So 3 places gained in 1 lap. And there could be 1 more to arrive on the next lap. And here we are, lap 10. Getting nice and close. I've still got a decent bit of battery, which is good. I've been saving up my energy to use it at the right time. And you can see here, we get an excellent exit out of La Source. Making our way through the famous Eau Rouge and the Radion, flat out of course. We're going to try not to use too much battery as we open DRS. Just going to use a short little squirt just to make sure we get back onto the racing line before the brake zone. And there we go, P15. Ziona Martin's battling with Leroy Brown, my teammate up ahead for P13. Heading through Les Combes and Malmedy though. And for the second time...
Are you okay? That was a big one. Confirm you're okay, please.
We lose the back end, and this time it's terminal, and we're done. Which is really unfortunate. So, yeah, I didn't stay in the lobby. I left, that's why there's no replay cameras in this episode, and also why there's no race results. Here are the standings, though. I haven't shown these yet this season. I've given it a few races to kind of let things settle down, the driver transfers take place. But as you can see, we're P11 right now. Our best result was the last race in Silverstone. We've had some highs and lows. Generally speaking, consistency has been a bit of an issue, but I do feel like my pace is getting better. I know it didn't seem like it in this episode, but this is one of my worst tracks. If you guys have been long-term viewers, you'll know that I don't get on with Spa and, the curbs and just the general drivability of this circuit in the F1 games. But we go to Canada next, and that's where I won my race last year. My split 1 versus the esports guys last season, that's where I won. So we never know, we may have a chance to get back on form. After that, I think it's either Imola or Monza, I'm not sure which one it is, but one of those two. And then Spain. So some better tracks coming up. I'm glad we've put Silverstone and Spa behind us because they just don't suit my driving style. But yeah guys, that is it for this one. Hopefully you still enjoyed. Leave a like if you did, subscribe for more. And I'll be back soon with some more league racing action. Until then, take care. As always, a big shout out to the members. Check out the 2 videos on screen if you haven't seen them, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Until then, take care, and it's goodbye from me.